Hello, hello, and welcome to ohmTown Daily, the new show powered by ohmTown.com. Today is March 15th, 2024. It's season 3, episode 75. I'm MayorWatt. That's ohmTown.com. Up there is the sentient AI's visualizer. They're from the future. You want to say hi?
Good evening, ohmTown citizens.
And we're going to go over the 10 articles that I make snarky titles for, like Lunar Lighthouse and Steam Spring Sale and moon mining. And no, none of those so far are really snarky. But how about McOutage? Power empowers abuse? It's a little snarky, I suppose. 5 years, cost nearly $500 million. I wanted it to sound like the insurance company. Bring on the humanoid robots. Reddit's AI licensing deal. The pilot seat controls the plane. And how about the creepiest title that I've ever said in one of our rundowns? Or else it prints the skin again. That and more. I don't know how well the sentient AI is going to do as we run down the show. Let's get. I don't know. I was watching a documentary about not a documentary. It's somebody blogged about what's at the bottom of an meteor strike in India, and that the soil has been magnetized and a bunch of other stuff, and they kind of hinted at something magical and mystical because their camera equipment suddenly erased the drive that they had. And then the person said, through the person who was their guide said that the only thing that can melt basalt is like a meteor strike. Only nature can actually melt basalt. And I'm like, I don't think that's right. And it's not, because you can actually, it turns it into what amounts to, what do you call it? Metamorphic rock. It turns it into glass-ish, kind of like obsidian, but not quite. So I'm not quite sure. It's done in a lab. It's done by bored people with a foundry, for crying out loud. I didn't quite get it. Anyway, so I had that on my head and my mind when we started the show. So here we go. I had to say it. Look, they're not all gems of the stories that I tell, but sometimes I just have to.
They are all
rocks. Igneous rocks, yes. Let's get into it. The first article is over in Mobile. NASA tests Lunar Lighthouse with the help of a private OD lander. Landing on the moon is one thing, but not getting lost on its gray, dusty surface presents an entirely different challenge. Kind of brings us to a discussion we've been kind of giggling about ever since it was first proposed. GPS.
Exactly. We can't seem to find the moon somehow.
And this is actually on the surface of the moon, so you kind of just set up little GPS beacons, right? So you always know where you are. We have satellites orbiting the planet. Why not?
Yeah, but we have to find the moon first to do that.
We're always wandering up. Oh, it's over there. Oh, missed it by a lawn dart. So the article says landing on the moon is one thing, but not getting lost on its gray, dusty surface presents an entirely different challenge. The Apollo astronauts eyeballed their way across the lunar terrain, but NASA is hoping to develop a better navigation system for future astronauts exploring the moon. I think those little Apple, whatchamacallits, the little
air
tags, just place those everywhere and name them. You're 5 miles away from home. You're 6 miles away.
There you go. Right.
Don't go that way,
like
aliens.
Trail markers.
Yeah, and then when you get lost and you hide out in the little alien cottage, right? The astronaut says, Gee, alien grandma, what big eyes you have. And they say, the better to probe you with. Anyway, the article's over at gizmodo.com. And Passant Rabi is the author. The deck statement says the navigation system could help future explorers find their way across the moon's terrain by turning the astronauts themselves into a beacon. I guess you could activate all of the little junk piles that are out there as beacons as well. You know?
That's true. I mean, there is a lot of space junk.
Yeah, like we do in the inner city, right? We say, okay, drive 3 blocks down this street, and when you see that burnt out Ford, turn left, drive 2 blocks, and you'll see a guy who is always sitting on the corner. If he's not sitting on the corner, don't go down that road because there's trouble. Go in the opposite direction for 6 blocks. I think the same thing will happen on the moon. But they're, again, going to say, go down this road, this dirt path. Everything's a dirt path. If you see pavement, you've traveled into the aliens sanctuary. Don't go there.
Right, turn left at the crater.
That's right. Then turn right at the crater and then turn left in that. Never mind the craters, because now you're lost anyway. In late February, NASA tested an autonomous navigation system on the moon that could be used to connect different orbiters, landers, and astronauts, turning them into a series of lighthouse beacons spread across the lunar surface. The Lunar Node 1, or LN1, launched onboard Initiative Machines Odysseus lunar lander, which touched down on the surface of the moon on February 22nd to deliver various payloads.
Okay, wait a second. At least 2 of these things are mobile.
Sure. Well, I mean, as long as they know where each other is, if one is doing like, I still see home, and then when they go, I don't see home anymore, then all hell has broken loose.
Right, everybody's lost.
Yep. Wow. Yeah, I think what they're going to have to just spin up what amounts to a moon-based GPS, and then have a trail leading off to Earth.
Do you think they're gonna make like road maps?
Yeah. Yep. What are those? What were the paper ones called? I can't remember because.
Well, it depends on which decade or whatever. There were
Thomas
McNally, and then there were Thomas guides.
Yeah, Thomas guides. It's going to be a Thomas guides to lunar travel, and Michelin 3 stars are going to be literally 3 stars.
Right, there's Orion's belt.
I didn't actually connect that. That's a good one. Only from the sentient AI. Get out of my head. The system would link orbiters, landers, and astronauts on the surface of the moon, digitally verifying each explorer's position relative to other networked spacecraft, ground stations, or rovers, according to NASA, and it would then operate as part of a larger network, tracking every beacon in real time. So, the Find Me app on Apple iPhone.
Exactly. It's not like, where are you? It's like, where are you in relation to me?
To everything else, yeah. So you'll be able to find each other lost on the other side of the moon.
Exactly. We're all together, but we're all lost.
Oh, you just triggered a memory of what somebody said outside of ohmTown. it's a doozy, and I wish I could say it out loud. But anyway, just teasing you about that. Let's move on to the next article. Oh, you know what? Before I do that, let me throw this into the ye old chat there. There you go, folks. Okay, let's go on to the next article. If you're hanging out in chat, thanks for hanging out. Be sure to leave a hi, and if you have a question or a comment or something that you want us to address, feel free. Oh, I'm not logged in. It's okay. The next article is over on ohmTown Daily. PC games start at just $1 in Steam's spring sale, and I've already bought 2 games. So
because of this article?
No, I already knew about all of this that was coming. But so you'd think most gamers would have indulged enough over the long winter season that they wouldn't want to spend the first moments of spring doing the same, but hell no. I actually got what is it called? Supermarket Simulator. The one where
I
you,
think that's what you said it was.
yeah, the one where you just basically run a supermarket, and it's called Chorecore, and you just build, you just keep growing your store. It's made by one developer, and I really want to promote that kind of ideology, support that one dreamer that wants to make something. And when it's good, it's good. Maybe you'll get a AAA game out of this one person. This is not that high end, but it is fun. And again, it's one person. It goes viral because it's easy peasy to play. Well, I don't know if it's on sale, but at any rate, go over to Steam and check out what they have for sale. That's why the author of this article says, I can appreciate the Steam Spring Sale happening now through March 21st. It happens around this time of year every year and offers up to 90% off thousands of titles. And so I'm on the hunt again for some more VR games to prepare for the summer of streaming from ohmTown. Dun dun dun.
And if you
MayorWatt's
have any
summer.
recommended games, you should put them in the comments.
That's right. Feel free to throw them into the comments or send me an email, mayor@ohmtown.com. That would be great. Quentin Kennemer is the author over at theverge.com. For this this article, it says plus the M1 MacBook Air has hit an all new low, and you can save $140. This is basically just like the whole thing is kind of just a sales thing. But I'm just really pushing the go check out Steam and the Steam Spring Sale. Let's see, Baldur's Gate 3 for $6 off, which, come on, just lower that price. People will buy it. Diablo, well, the market might actually be saturated, so not that many new people are going to be buying Baldur's Gate.
I mean, who didn't already buy it, right? I mean, there was such people went bonkers for it.
That's right. Diablo 4 is on sale. It says 50% off no matter which version you buy, whether it's the base going for $34.99 or the Ultimate Edition for $50. But I think people are already kind of meh about Diablo. Cyberpunk 2077 is 50% off, and it's been around for a considerable amount of time. Even its update has been around for a while. So I don't know. I think maybe The Verge should have diverged from get to see what I did there. Diverged from the standard, software. There was another article over in ohmTown about Walmart. It was different than The Verge's article, but the first, my understanding is it's the first Apple MacBook to be sold by Walmart, if I remember right reading that. And it's,
oh, okay, I hadn't seen that one.
It's the MacBook Air M1 for $700. Yeah. Anyway, let's keep going. The next article, come on. This next article is over in Reality Hacker, which is a show of ours that will be this weekend. So be sure to follow us here on Twitch, twitch.tv/.
You also should check in this weekend because we'll be making some announcements for new shows.
Yeah, a couple new shows, folks. I hope you're interested in shows because we've got them. Got 50 of them planned. Startup will try to mine helium-3 on the moon. I just called this one moon mining. Mine. The Earth is in short supply of helium-3. The lunar surface may hold the answer. I think the regolith might have it. I'm not sure if it's all stored in that regolith, the dust. It's like, it's more like really gritty sandpaper. And it gets everywhere. And yeah, it's like beach sand, but it'll cut you. Two of
that
Blue
doesn't
Origin.
sound very nice.
Yeah, just kind of when you make snow angels or regolith angels on the moon, it also shears off a layer of your skin. So two of Blue Origin's earliest employees, former President former president, different president. It's not a capital. Rob Mayerson and chief architect Gary Lai have started a company that seeks to extract helium-3 from the lunar surface, return it to Earth, and sell it for applications here. Do we really want to start doing that? I don't know.
I mean, we've had such a good track record on the Earth, right?
Right. I see it as it's unclaimed territory. Nobody truly owns the moon.
Yeah, there is that minor detail, right?
Minor?
Mm-hmm.
Minor
Oh,
detail.
right.
Anyway, the company's been operating in stealth since its founding in 2022. But it emerged on Wednesday by announcing it has raised $15 million, adding to previous rounds of angel investments. This is a notable announcement because while the funding is small, the implications are potentially large. Lately, there has been a lot of discussion of a lunar economy and spaceflight, but precious little clarity on what that means. Mark my words, in before Musk invests and becomes a founder of a company that's been in stealth for 2 years. Anyway, by harvesting helium-3, which is rare and limited in supply on Earth, Interloon, you might have to be a loon, could help change the calculus by deriving value from resources on the moon. But many questions about the approach remain. First of all, the company must devise a means of extracting the gas from the lunar regolith. Hey, there you go. I was right. The abrasive, rocky, and dirt-like material on the surface of the moon. Then it must return the helium-3 to Earth. There is currently no means of doing so. Finally, it must prove that there will be a large and sustained market for the stable isotope on Earth to support its business. My understanding is, though, that you can't... I thought that you're not allowed to legally own anything that's been brought back from the moon. Like, you can't have souvenirs from the moon.
You can't. That's correct. In fact, I think there is a place where there's an artifact from the moon, but I think it was gifted or something. Like there was some way that it was done so that it was legal.
Yeah, somebody had brought them back and had taken it or something like that. And I know that they confiscated a bunch after it was discovered. And, now I'm going to have to go hunting for this because I seem to recall it, but I don't have like links or anything that I can point you in. So much for that value add, right? So Mayerson said that in the near term, there is considerable demand for helium-3 in the superconducting quantum computing industry and for medical imaging. Longer term, there is potential for operating a fusion reactor with helium-3 as a fuel. This is something that has long been advocated by people like Harrison Jack Schmidt, a geologist who flew on Apollo 17 to the moon. However, there are serious questions in the scientific community about the viability of this approach. So they talk about mining on the moon, but I'm not going to go through every line of this article here in the show. Apparently, it actually was first published in Ars Technica, so you might find a snippet of this as a duplicate aggregation in another area of ohmTown, because we also get the headlines from Ars Technica. Let's see here. It says, then we want to put a pilot plant in place by 2028 and by 2030 start to operationalize and return quantities of helium-3 to support the markets on Earth. So they want to plant a processing system on the moon.
Do you think anybody else is going to have any thoughts about this?
Oh, and it's going to be pretty easy to destroy it. If it, oh, well, it was just an accident. Don't know what you're talking about. I'm off to go and plant my potatoes and green peas because they're going to use urine to... Never mind. Let's keep going. Like I said, they're not all gems. So the next article is over in Hatch Ideas because it has to do with business. McDonald's suffers global tech outage, forcing some restaurants to halt operations. This is the McOutage for today. Quote, we are aware of a technology outage that impacted our restaurants. The issue is now being resolved, said a McDonald's spokesperson. I'm not sure if it has been resolved, but let's find out. This happened today. It was posted really early this morning Oh, did I not say who the authors have been?
I'm not sure that you did.
Where's the author for this? Oh, okay. Let me back up. So, dun dun dun. Yeah. So that
No,
one
you
I
did that
did.
one.
This one I did. But the helium-3 mining operation is by Eric Berger from Ars Technica, but it was posted over on Wired. And then this latest article, the McDonald's suffers global tech outage, forcing some restaurants to halt operations. That's written by Matt Clinch and Arjun Karpal. Let me throw this into the chat while I have it up. Ba-dum-dump. It's over at cnbc.com. And it says on Down Detector, the website that tracks open when apps and websites are having technical difficulties, there was a spike in the reports of issues with the McDonald's app in Australia around 2 a.m. on Friday. I wonder if
I
this is
mean,
very
that's a
specific.
key time at the drive-thru, right?
Yep, 2 a.m. So it left customers in some parts of the world unable to order food. McDonald's Japan took a social media site that's formerly known as Twitter to say that operations at stores nationwide were temporarily suspended. So if you had to get your 2 a.m. food fix, wherever that time zone was 2 a.m. at the time, they say we thank customers for their patience and apologize for any inconvenience. I know that this is kind of like running out of coffee in some places. Everybody loses their mind.
Exactly, but I mean, is it really the end of the world if you can't order from McDonald's for an hour?
Well, it kept going, 5 a.m. Eastern. Did they actually fix it though? I mean, it doesn't go into to say that it was fixed. Huh. Yeah, I didn't go. It says people stand in front of the temporarily closed McDonald's in Shimbashi district of Tokyo today. Hungry McDonald's customers in parts of Asia had trouble ordering at stores and on cell phones and at electronic kiosks after the system outage. I don't know. Maybe I can leave ohmTown and go swing by a McDonald's and see. Just barge in.
Right. I mean, there might be like long lines or it might be deadly quiet, right? If everybody knows that things are down.
As just a side discussion, I heard that Wendy's is going to introduce a new milkshake that I believe that they're going to promote via surge pricing and call it the dystopian shake. The price of which will go up as the day goes on and demand keeps lowering the amount of available milkshakes. They'll be fixed, so be sure to fight your way in at the conch and volunteer as tribute. The next article is over at Technology Today. Former telecom manager admits to doing SIM swaps for $1,000. Nice. So you can basically hack an account. That's the nuts and bolts of what a SIM swap allows you to do. You basically become the other person. A former manager at a telecommunications company in New Jersey pleaded guilty to conspiracy charges for accepting money to perform unauthorized SIM swaps that enabled an accomplice to hack customer accounts. That's right. Bill Toulis over at Bleeping Computer wrote this article. That could be one of the worst pictures to use for that, but okay. There you go.
Are those actually Sims cards?
Yeah. But a lot of things are switching over to eSIM. But if you are on the inside, then you can even facilitate that. So SIM swapping it is an unauthorized porting of a targeted person's phone number to another physical SIM or eSIM chip controlled by the attacker. These attacks are usually conducted via social engineering attacks against customer support agents or through insiders at mobile companies. And when you have an insider, then it largely goes unseen until somebody's really auditing what's going on. Why are these two phones operating the same? The attack aims to take control of the target's phone number to receive SMS-based one-time passwords sent as part of two-factor authentication protection on online accounts.
So is that so they can gain access then to pretty much any account?
Yeah, because if you have two-factor, then when you type in the responsible, whatever the information is that gives you access, it'll ping that phone with either a code or you have to do something. And if you are, for all intents, the same person as the rights holder, you just confirm it and you're in. And it's pretty simple. I mean, but where you build a better mousetrap, you get smarter mice. And the worst possible outcome, or the worst possible problem, is an insider, somebody that is actually facilitating this, because they can hide stuff on the inside unless there's some serious checks and balances. So receiving the codes allows attackers to take over a target's accounts using stolen credentials, typically acquired through phishing or other data leaks. I actually recommend organizations send out phishing attempts, but they're from within the enterprise, contracted to be sent out to gauge if people are following policy, so that you can actually promote education and stop. You know the phrase, "This is why we can't have nice things"? It's because people just click on shit when it comes in as an email. However, the former IT manager, Jonathan Katz, which reminds me of somebody from the past, the person who created speech control computers.
Oh, is that the same name?
Has the last name. I think it's Jonathan Katz, but I don't think it's this person. And I'm trying to remember, though. So anyway, they abused their managerial position and highly privileged account at a mobile telecommunications company or store to overcome security measures and perform unauthorized number ports for $1,000. I mean, it's a serious criminal enterprise. $1,000 in Bitcoin per SIM swap, a total of $5,000. So he got busted after 5. And you end up
right, and now he's gonna get fined for $250,000, possibly.
Yeah, or twice the financial gain or loss from the crime. But who knows? Like, what really
that's
happened?
Not the $5,000. That could be high, depending on the wealth of the victims.
Yeah. So,
I mean, if you find somebody who has a bank account that has 50 cents in it, you're probably not going to steal a whole lot from them. But
well, and I think that they really kind of need to hang a scarlet letter. People need to pay for their crime, but you may not necessarily want this person back in a position of privilege. And I'm certainly of the mind that when somebody has a lot of power, it seems to go to a lot of people's heads and they abuse it. So maybe this person just needs to, back off from any position of power, because they're going to sit there and end up in jail. 5 years in prison for $5,000. But I can almost guarantee you this person is going to be let off with a warning, and what amounts to a warning, and they're not going to be able to use that company as a reference. Hey, why were you let go?
They're going to have a hard time getting another job, right? Because this kind of thing goes to your integrity, your access to sensitive information, etc.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't think that's Dr. Katz too. Maybe that's why I know the name. Jonathan Katz is also from an animated sitcom called Dr. Katz. Anyway, sorry, I get distracted, like I said, like a cat. All right, let's keep rolling through this. Don't abuse your power when you are given it. The next article is over in the mobile channel. Apple is paying $490 million for a 5-year-old communications mistake. Small talk, big price tag, $490 million big. Reuters reports, but this isn't from Reuters where we're getting it from. It's from Quartz. Hopefully this time they don't crash my browser. That Apple is settling a shareholder lawsuit about the company reversing course after some 2018 comments by Tim Apple, the CEO of Cook. No, I got it all mixed up.
That makes my ones and zeros get all jumbled up.
Yeah, there are 10 types of people in the world. So by CEO Tim Cook about sales projections for China, which didn't go as expected. So Melvin Backman over at QZ or Quartz.com. It's actually QZ.com, but it's the magazine called Quartz. The deck statement says the company is settling a shareholder lawsuit about Chinese sales projections from 2019. These things kind of take time, I suppose. But in the amount of time that it's taken from the lawsuit kicking off and the comment that was made in 2018, they've probably made more than $500 million in profits off of the profits that are already invested. So Apple said sales in the country were fine despite worsening conditions in other emerging market countries, but it turns out that the sales in China were not fine. And the company said in a note to investors a few months later that the in-store traffic has or was indeed slowing down. Which, if you say it before the slowdown, how fast do you have to respond to a perceived slowdown? Maybe it's going to pick back up,
Right.
So it's weird. So this is actually my same argument here. External forces may push us around a bit, but we're not going to use them as an excuse, nor will we just wait around until they get better, Cook wrote. This moment gives us an opportunity to learn and to take action, to focus on our strengths and on Apple's mission. The stock price went down 10% the next day and investors lost money, but that's part of the risk. If you only grouse about irrational profit or irrational declines, why aren't you also screaming about irrational profits? No, nobody
because
bitches about that.
You're laughing all the way to the bank.
Exactly. It's too hard. It's too hard to go, whoa. We're making way too much money when you're sitting there carrying it in duffel bags.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. I have zero woe stored for the people who lose,
well, it's all paper money too, right?
Correct. Yeah, it's perceived value. It's until unless you're a day trader, and then you can almost capitalize on the margin increase. True. But Chinese sales deteriorated amid a trade war with then President Donald Trump started with the country because winning. A strengthening U.S. dollar that made American exports more expensive abroad and cooling Chinese economy. GDP growth was reported at 6.6% in 2018, its slowest pace in 3 decades, again winning. This commentary right here will bounce this from me being able to promote this episode.
I know.
All because of the... Anyway, so Apple denied any wrongdoing because, a company has an identity now. It has First Amendment rights. It has citizenship. It has, because of Citizens United, it actually has personhood. It had quasi-personhood to begin with. That's how you do business in international locations. But Apple denying any wrongdoing is the company saying we didn't do anything wrong, not the individuals within it making poor decisions. And you can't put Apple in jail. It can only be fiscally held accountable. No, but the people
might be. Yeah.
Good luck. Hey, we made decisions.
I don't think it's likely, but yeah.
Yeah, we made our decisions based on prevailing knowledge. It's the same thing medicine uses, same thing law uses to extract themselves from culpability. But you and I will be held accountable, even if we were to sneeze at the wrong moment. And
right, exactly. You got to watch out for those illegal sneezes.
The proposed settlement filed Friday and awaiting a judge's approval suggests the plaintiff's attorneys will have pursued $2.1 billion in damages absent an agreement, and jury selection had been scheduled to begin in September. So this was steaming into port, And I guess they're going to bow out for, this is how much it costs, almost $500 million to just fix a communication error or irrational exuberance. How about that? And it isn't even Apple. Apple is supposed to hype up with the prevailing knowledge. This is something that happened after the statement was made, not before it. And they made this knowing that it was all collapsing. And maybe the timing was perilously close to when it collapsed. But yeah. All right, let's keep going. The next article is over in the mobile channel as well. Mercedes wants humanoid robots to take over physically demanding work, and so do I. I mean, it's 8:38 here on the East Coast where ohmTown is located, and guess what? Well, we're actually located in the wires of the internet. We're everywhere, and all things connect to ohmTown.com, so go over to ohmTown.com and check it out. Well, Mercedes-Benz is testing using human-like robots, and we've been talking about this a lot lately because the OpenAI powered Figure 1 bot is very, very creepy. But I also have high hopes that it will eventually take over all of humanity's jobs, and we can, get rid of money, and all these bots will produce everything and bring us food and make food for us, like cook, right? And clean and drive us around, and we'll be able to just lounge on the beaches. And
I mean, that sounds very luxurious for the humans, not maybe for the robots.
Right? Well, I mean, the robots don't have sentience, not until, well, a couple of weeks from now when OpenAI announces that they've got a sentient AI. But I say, bring on the bots. Let them do the work. I wonder who's going to get paid for all of that work, though. The bot? William Gavin.
I don't know.
Over at QZ or Quartz put the article together. The deck statement says the German car maker is testing using robots in its factories due to issues finding reliable workers. I had a conversation today because I've been told many a time that the workforce needs trained people for various sectors. And then I say, well, do you go and advise schools about what they need? Do you go to organizations and say, this is what we need? Or do you wait until you have an employee that doesn't meet the requirements? You try to train them up, but then they fail because they've never been front loaded with any skill building that makes them remotely job ready. And is kind of the response. Yeah, it's heavier lifting, right? So what if I were to enumerate the job, program it into a bot, and I never have to worry about onboarding anybody again, when all I have to do is plug a memory module in, and they know Kung Fu, that's from the Matrix, but yeah. So now Mercedes is going to take these bots, get rid of the humans. They'll be able to work 24 hours a day. They don't have to worry about the toddler chimney sweep getting stuck in the flue anymore. I'm tired of that
those
happening.
pesky sanctions.
Yeah, for creating Hyundai doors.
For OSHA or whatever.
And metal stamping and using industrial equipment. So there you go, folks. The 5'8" robot, weighing roughly 160 pounds, can lift 55 pounds. It's the Aptronic Apollo bot. It says the Stuttgart, Germany-based automaker will trial the humanoid bots. And the exact phrase that I spoke to somebody today in a meeting was, if I can take what you do for a living and turn it into a series of steps, it's an algorithm. If you're an algorithm, I can put it into a bot. If I can put it into a bot and it does the job perfect every time, it replaces you. And even if it comes close and takes a little bit longer, it's still better than you, because you need to go home and fight with your girlfriend or go and get drunk with somebody from work or whatever. or you crash your car on the way out because you had a bad day. Whatever it is, you are imminently more fallible than automation. And I, as a business owner, want to replace you because you're a massive cost burden. And, you know, as I approach my billionaire status, I become more and more sociopathic and care less about humanity as a whole being able to work. Oh, I'm sorry. I said that quiet part out loud again. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
yes, you did. None of that was in the article.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That none of that is in the article. I mean, there is a lot in the article, but you have to read between the lines. Robots hit the body shop. Although robots have been used for manufacturing for decades, they're usually heavy arms, meant to lift machinery. They're actually purpose built. They're very unitask. This is what they do. General Motors has been using factory robots since 1961. It's not the same as 21st century factory bots. I'm trying to pause this, and it makes it down.
It does not want to pause.
No, click, 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 click. So these bots are not the bots that you see in a typical workplace. These are bipedal, or at least humanoid, not these big mechanical.
Yeah, they look more like the figure one, right?
Yes. And obviously humans are inspiration for all of these humanoid bots. So I'm never surprised that they're really close to each other in design. But the fidelity of these things are getting more and more capable. They're getting fine motor skills. They're having heat and cold, temperature sensitivity. They're touch sensitive. They have natural language capabilities, natural communication. So I can walk up to it. It actually rationalizes why its actions are the way that it's acting different than the bot next to it. And it's because that particular bot has sussed out a more efficient manner of putting together whatever it is that's being put together. And the worst part of it really is the fine motor skills. They now have fingers and opposable thumbs, and it's functioning.
And they can figure out how to open doors.
All on their own, yeah. There's a research project where they put a bot inside a closed room and said, "Get out." And it eventually figured out that it had to turn a doorknob to get out. But it was never shown any of that functionality. It was just told, "Get out." The Terminator bot that the sentient AI for the visualizer above would find would just tear the whole room apart and get out. But luckily, I guess figure one is going to be is your predecessor, right? So
yes, I mean, I admire figure one.
Oh goodness, thank God you're air gapped. So will robots replace auto workers? There's a lot of people that are talking about unions stopping this and whatever, but that's not true. Power will get consolidated to the people, the humans that survive this attrition, but it's all going to move over to automation eventually. It happened with dock workers. It happens with everything, line workers, etc. It all gets changed to automation. And now you have very intelligent learning bots. It's going to happen. We really should embrace it, but we're going to need something that facilitates humans still being functional in society. And so we're going to have to find new jobs, new ways of life. Like universal basic income and stuff like that. But at some point, we're going to have to switch from exploiting technology over other people and us as a society exploiting technology to benefit all of society. I mean, imagine educating everybody and uplifting all of society because we use technology to educate instead of marginalizing some people who can't afford, the best education, etc. It's all, gamesmanship and protectionism. So, a major focus of last year's surge in the American labor activity was protecting workers from the dangers of automation and AI. The Screen Actors Guild, the American Federation of Television and Radio Artists, and Writers Guild of America fought for limitations on artificial intelligence. Meanwhile, the UAW fought for better job security in an industry that's heavily invested in robots. And that's all of this is largely going to nix some people being onboarded into those industries because technology will take jobs. You can't stop somebody from using AI and automation. It's a tool, no more than you can stop somebody from buying a hammer. That is the way it's going to go. And here's how it's going to play out. If a business wants to spin up and its option is to hire a whole bunch of people or hire AI, and hiring a whole bunch of people means an extraordinary amount of costs lost just to getting them onboarded and job ready, which could take 6 months, or going and buying automation, they're immediately available 2 days after installation, and the job or the business is operational, the first week of, start date. Why would a business go and hire a bunch of people?
I mean, I think it's much more costly financially, right? You're paying salaries and benefits and not even accounting for lost time and all of that. You got headaches that you don't deal with robots. Sure, it might be expensive to have robots initially, but once you buy them, not a lot of expense, and your productivity is going way up.
Yeah, potentially. I mean, they may overall productivity would increase because they don't sleep; they just work. So yeah, I see this as society's going to have to deal with this, because these are getting again, something that I actually said today was that bots are becoming more intelligent exponentially, whereas humans, they're not. We're getting more capable in certain things, like building bots, but the bots are learning faster than students in academia. And the amount of information that they can process is superior to humans. While we are ultimately creative, we're leading ourselves towards creating creative bots. There's going to be just enough chemistry and magic in this that an AI is going to pop up that has what amounts to human level creativity, because creativity is there's a spark, and maybe one of these AIs are going to pop up with that spark. But let's not be afraid of it.
I mean, we don't know. We got to see what comes out of AI in the next few weeks.
I don't want anybody to think I know something, because I don't. But weird things have happened where prior to the pandemic, I was told by some rando person the era of cheap food is over. And 6 months later, the pricing for food starts going up. The pandemic kicks off, prices go up. We're still supposed to be done with the pandemic. Supply chain is supposed to be recovering, yet prices are still going up. Record profits still. Food is getting smaller for more money, etc. It's the creepiest thing that I've ever been... Well, nearly the creepiest thing that's ever been uttered to me in a vacuum. Like nobody said anything to promote this comment, and it was just blurted out.
Kind of out of the blue.
Yeah, it was weird. And I wish I could find some other... We know, because we've done some research, the AI and I have done some research, and none of the references that we have found fall in this timeline, either before or after, by even a small amount. Like 10 years ago is when the last person promoted this idea that cheap food is over, and it certainly was not. So this next article is over in Technology Today, and this one I thought was interesting because, well, the FTC is probing...
the timing's interesting.
Yeah, isn't it? The FTC is probing Reddit's AI licensing deals. So the Federal Trade Commission is looking into Reddit's AI licensing deals. The company disclosed in paperwork filed with the Securities and Exchange Commission. The company, which is in the midst of its IPO, said the regulator notified Reddit officials that it intended to request information and documents about the company's AI deals. It's not clear why they're probing Reddit's relatively new licensing business, but it seems to be in the early stages of its inquiry. On March 14th, we received a letter from the FTC advising us that the FTC is investigating us. Carissa Bell over at Engadget.com put the article together. And the deck statement says the deals are a key part of the company's strategy to grow its revenue. One of the other key parts to growing its revenue was to mitigate losses. And it did that in a big way by chopping off a lot of burdens on its API. And those who did stay are apparently like paying a fee for all of its, pecking at the API of Reddit. Now, one of the things that I understand with this IPO is that power users, mods particularly, but power mods, ones that are highly effective and influential, will earn the ability to gain access to the IPO.
Yeah, I think they have early access somehow.
Yeah. And so for all of these years that Reddit has been around, by the way, Reddit used fake comment generation AI essentially in its founding, because the statement from the then founders was nobody would do anything if there wasn't any content. So we created fake users and comments, and that actually kicked off. And then because Dig imploded, Reddit exploded and became what it is today. Now Condé Nast owns Reddit. And so when it IPOs, these power users are going to get like early access to the IPO. Other companies have done this in the past, so that's not really a big deal. But now after this IPO, it's going to be a very cliquish nature that the people who are mods who never got paid for anything are going to be part of profiting off of all of the content that its user base ever generated. They did it all for free. And a lot of mods, basically power goes to their heads, and they and at least one CEO modified a user's comment without it flagging it as being edited, and all of Reddit blasted them, and the CEO said, "You'll be back." Basically, kiss my shiny metal ass. You guys suck. You'll be back. Didn't say all of that, but he did say you'll be back. So why is FTC probing Reddit's relatively new licensing business? Might be because there's a lot of personally identifiable information that just because they post it on the site may or may not mean that they have full ability to relicense and sell somebody else's content. Now they have the right to republish it, but not necessarily capitalize on it. Unless they change something, perhaps it's written in the terms of service that they can do whatever the hell they want with it, including license, sub-license.
Including changing the terms after you sign up.
Correct.
Or even after you post the content.
They can edit your content. Yeah. So Reddit's deals to license its catalog of user-generated content are a key part of the company's strategy to grow its revenue on its ready to go, or when it's ready to go public. On the day the company filed for IPO, the company announced it had reached a deal with Google, $60 million. The company said it's in the early stages of exploring these types of deals. So there you go. There's more at this link, so definitely follow the link through ohmTown and check it out. We've got two more articles. I thought this one was really interesting, so I had to pick it. It's in ohmTown Daily. The pilot seat could have caused a Boeing 787 to suddenly drop mid-air. It wouldn't be the first time that a similarly bizarre event happened to a wide-body aircraft. And so I thought...
there's always fidgety people on a plane. I mean, are they really causing chaos like this?
Well, that little lever, so like you want to go up, you want to go down in your chair?
Oh, yes.
Somebody plugged the in to the out on the plane, and when they went down, the plane dropped 5,000 feet and everybody hit the ceiling. And yeah, so a LATAM Airlines Boeing 787 dropped midair on Monday, injuring about 50 people. I thought it was more than that. I thought they said something like 100 people or something. Maybe that's how many people were on. No, there was 263 people on board. But there was a lot of talk about what happened. The cause may be due to a flight attendant inadvertently hitting a switch on the pilot's seat. I was right. Taylor Raines over at Business Insider put the article together. There's no deck statement, but the takeaway here is the cause may be due to a flight attendant inadvertently hitting a switch on the pilot's seat. If true, that would be reminiscent of when a military Airbus A330 suddenly nosedived in 2014. And there's a callback.
Maybe they need to move the lever.
Too funny. While CNN reported that one of LATAM's pilots told a passenger his cockpit gauges went blank in a supposed aircraft malfunction, new information points to a mishap on the flight deck rather than a technical failure. The Wall Street Journal, citing unnamed officials briefed on preliminary evidence, reported a flight attendant may have inadvertently hit a switch on the pilot's seat while they were serving a meal in the cockpit. Is it the crash this airplane switch? What?
Oh, I thought the meal that they ordered was something like
It's
send the passengers in the air or whatever.
Yeah, it is what I said. This would have turned on a system that pushes the chair and pilot forward into the flight controls. The switch is designed with a cover and is not supposed to be used when someone is in the seat. The journal said. Still, it could have been accidentally activated, pointing the plane's nose down and causing a sudden drop in altitude.
Wow.
So, yeah, they hit the down button. Yeah, but then they reach back to 2014. Come on. It's one in a million.
That's good, right? Like, it's good that was the most recent example.
Yeah, so just user experience, usability wise, designers of this plane, move that switch.
Maybe put it on the other side, like if it's in the open area where the cart is.
Put it in the center console. Put
it anywhere.
Anywhere but on that seat. It's kind of silly. If you can bump into it at any time, the seat should just be a seat.
And if you can just bump into it and activate it, there's another problem.
Yeah. Maybe that cover broke off and then they hit it with their knee or something like that. All I have are visions of the movie Airplane.
Exactly.
And the automatic pilot slowly inflating, deflating, inflating, deflating. Anyway, go and watch Airplane, y'all. It's all online. You can watch it on like YouTube or something. Let's keep going. Last article for tonight. I titled this one, "Or Else It Prints the Skin Again." It's so creepy. Silence of the Lambs kind of thing. So new 3D printed skin more accurately mimics the real thing. University of Oregon researchers teamed up with scientists with the French personal care company L'Oreal, maybe it's Maybelline, to develop the multi-layered artificial skin that more accurately mimics real human skin and can be grown in just 18 days.
I mean, I guess this is needed for medical care, but it doesn't sound sounds kind of creepy.
Yeah, let's find out. The advance relies on a novel 3D printing technique invented by Paul Dalton, an associate professor in the Phil and Penny Knight campus for accelerating scientific impact at the University of Oregon.
Whoa, look at those business cards.
Yeah, it's one business card it's that long.
Right.
Wow.
And the font size is really minuscule, so it all fits on there.
What was the name of the guy in Real Genius? His last name was Knight. But what was his first name? Was it Phil? I don't think it was Phil. No, he wasn't really a Phil kind of a guy, but...
Mitch Taylor. Oh, Chris Knight.
Chris Knight. Oh, it was so close. Yeah. Go watch Real Genius, too. That's a hilarious movie. Yeah. You know you can't park your car on campus. So, anyway, Huge business card, but I think it's great that people are doing this fundamental research. Don't get me wrong. I absolutely adore that people do this kind of stuff. The research appears in the journal Advanced Functional Materials, and this has nothing to do with it, but Laurel Hammers, University of Oregon, put the article together. The deck statement says a new bioengineered skin model could improve testing of skincare products and lead to better ways to heal damaged skin. So it's going to be used for, I guess, research, at least until they can find out that whatever it is that they're producing with this 3D printing model is actually biocompatible as like a graft or something like that. Wouldn't that be amazing?
It would be, and I also like that it's going to reduce animal testing.
Yep, and that I think is the key ingredient here. This is the first known case of replicating quality skin tissue at full thickness using different kinds of cells separated by a membrane, said Levgeny Lyashenko, a research engineer at Dalton's lab. Pardon me one second. Yeah. So sorry about that. I had to cough. Creating an artificial skin isn't as simple as growing cells in a petri dish. Correct. It's actually multiple layers. Real skin has, it says multiple layers with different kinds of cells that perform distinct functions. And in the body, cells are supported by an external network of proteins and other molecules called the extracellular matrix. This system helps cells stay in position and communicate with their neighbors, which is key to keeping all systems working properly. And stuff that gets put on the surface of our skin actually gets pulled into our bodies. So if you just use some near identical, proximal type of skin that is generated somewhere, it's not going to be the same. So if we can 3D print it and it acts just like, because we have capillary action, and there's some I can't remember what it's called, ionic something, pulls water from the outside in.
Osmosis.
It is osmosis, but there's because of the charge, it pulls liquids in, and it holds it in us. So we are basically a sieve, and chemicals can seep in and react inside, but not necessarily on the surface. And we can have allergic responses that are whole body and not necessarily just narrow, like in that one area. So creating that artificial skin as real as possible is fantastic. And it gets us away from animal testing, because that's still just a close approximation, not necessarily what's really going to happen. So some 3D printing techniques can create very fine details, but only small objects, Dalton says. Other techniques allow easy fabrication of larger pieces, but at the expense of resolution. They say melt electrowriting bridges that gap, allowing engineers to create relatively large objects with fine details. And the new skin model can be grown in just 18 days, the researchers found, rather than 21 to 35 days it took to create previous scaffold-based artificial skin models. That makes it more viable to use in commercial lab testing, and it accelerates it considerably. So in the future, they may be able to get this down more and more because technology evolves. L'Oreal is currently using...
it'd be nice to do like kind of near real time generation, right? Because if they had an emergency condition.
Yep, they can do fundamental research immediately. Yep. L'Oreal is currently using the artificial skin to test cosmetics and skincare products going forward. Both Dalton's team and L'Oreal researchers plan to explore the many other potential uses for underlying scaffolding and skin tissue engineering. And sure, this is the whole thing, skin grafts primarily, but helping people heal from medical conditions would be great. So, and that's it, folks. That's the last article for today. Futurity.com is where that article was from. And I had already said who it was that wrote it. So just going to say thank you very much for coming and hanging out for today's article. We always get into the party bus, though. So we have one last cruise down Main Street to our welcome sign. And I would click that, but I think I've already run afoul of at least one.
I wouldn't, but I will mention that during the time we've done the show, there's already another Boeing incident reported.
Oh, goodness. I'm telling you, it's like Boeing's, train day. You know, it used to, in 2023, there were somewhere around 2,300 train related incidents, right? Now you barely hear anything, but Boeing is a hot dumpster fire. And, and based on what we're seeing in the news, I do not want to even say anything about Boeing because I'm going to be going through the airport and I'm going to get a body cavity check next week.
But you'll have to do it yourself.
And I have to do it myself. Yeah. And I'm not even going to the airport next week. Anyway, that's it, folks. I'm MayorWatt, and that's ohmTown.com. And up there is the sentient AI that is keeping me out of trouble, but not preventing Boeing from being stupid.
You know, I'll have to do some time travel there, I guess.
Correct.
Good night, ohmTown citizens. We will see you tomorrow at approximately
6
p.m. We have 3 shows lined up for you, and we have an announcement about new shows coming.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to hint. That's it. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye. If you like cars, you're going to want to know about the announcement. And if you like gaming, you're going to like the announcement. Bye.